Hi, thank you for joining us. This is Talia Bennett, the Executive Director of HHREC. And today we have a very, very special guest, Kevin Hines. He is the author of Cracked Not Broken, Surviving and Thriving After a Suicide Attempt. And we want to give a very special shout out to Will Knox, who is interviewing Kevin Hines. So we hope you enjoy the podcast session today. Thank you.
Hey, Kevin. Nice to meet you. Nice to have you here.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
It's an honor to talk to you, and it's an honor to talk to someone who has devoted their life to the work that you do. And I can just say that, I'm amazed, and I know a lot of people are amazed at your story. And I think your story needs to be shouted at the mountaintops to the whole world right now, because, the whole world is going through a lot of turmoil.
Yeah.
And people are going through it, and they don't see, the other side. They don't see the other side. They don't see, hashtag be here tomorrow. I love that. But I'll tell you a little bit about myself, just to let you know who I am, let people know who I am. My name is William Knox. I got a degree in psychology, and it was during my time in college that my fraternity brother, Elgin Olu Stafford, he took his life in 2012, and that was one of the biggest wake-up calls I had in terms of suicide. I had never experienced anything like this in my life, and it spiraled me into a depression. And seeing his number on my phone, not being able to call, and figuring out like, hey, what can I do? And so I later volunteered at San Francisco Suicide Prevention, where I would volunteer for about a year. Then I later worked there for their overnight shifts. And after that, when I traveled abroad to Japan, I later trained with TEL Suicide Prevention. And that was when I figured that, hey, I would love to do more for the industry.
Yeah.
And so that's where I am. And I'm creating a startup that I can't really discuss too much right now because we're in very early stages. But yeah, that is my purpose in life, is to help people who are suicidal, to help people who are going through things in their life and they don't know that there's a way out. So that's why, it's a great honor to be here and hear your story.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Will. It means a lot, and the work you're doing is phenomenal, and I'm grateful for it. I did a lot of work with San Francisco Suicide Prevention as well. Eve Meyer is one of my greatest friends. So.
Yeah, Miss Meyer is a wonderful woman. She's wonderful. Yeah. I remember talking to her in her office. She would pull me aside sometimes, and she would have, or I would just bother her, and she would talk about, you'd think she would talk about like something that's involved with like suicide, but she was just talking about like what she's gonna make her husband for dinner.
Yeah, she was wonderful. She's an amazing human being, for sure. She's kind of like, she's a gift to this world, for sure.
Yeah, amazing. And then the comedy too, I believe, right?
The comedy, yeah, she's a comedian.
Yeah.
I actually went to see her perform, and the same day we filmed her for our documentary, The Net, which is hopefully going to be coming out in the next couple of years. Yeah.
Wow.
It's
That's cool.
we made this documentary, Suicide: The Ripple Effect, and that came out in 2018. And that was chronicling my life story and the life story of individuals who who have lived experience and lived expertise with suicide and suicide prevention and mental health. And the net is a look at the 85 years it took to get them to start raising a net at the Golden Gate Bridge.
Right.
And why it took so long. Why were there 8 fights that failed? And how do we get to this point where they're finally building the net and it should be finished by 2023? And by 2023, arguably, the Golden Gate Bridge will become the largest, brightest, and most powerful beacon for suicide prevention and reduction of access to lethal means all over the world, which will be unbelievable. We worked on that for a very long time. And we're making this film, The Net, and we were shooting Eve Meyer and telling her story. And as she's describing her part of her role in suicide prevention, I won't give it too much of a spoiler, but she basically said a line that we now know will be the end of the film. It was something so powerful and so impactful that both the director and myself sat there and were like, we have to make this the end of the film, So she's a wonderful woman.
That's amazing. I was watching your videos because you're doing a lot outside of reading your book, Cracked Not Broken. I thought it was an amazing book. I see your YouTube channel, and you don't just have like one layer of content. You have you have multiple streams that you're doing.
Yeah.
So I know you're a very busy guy. So what do you feel like? I'm really interested in, and why do you think there's been such a fight for the Golden Gate Bridge to have a net? Why is that? Why isn't that something that has been passed before?
Yeah. Why wasn't it something that was done before? Well, to be fair, it was because of a bureaucracy, and it was something that this bureaucratic board of directors who run and own the bridge, and who run it like a private entity, like no other bridge in America. A great many of them were against it for so long, and we literally fought for the better part of 20 years to get them to approve raising the net and find the funding.
Amazing.
And it wasn't easy. It was something that was very difficult, and the only way to pass the motion was if all 16 of their board members voted unanimously to put up the net. And invariably, every single month, we'd go to the hearings, and someone or someones would say no. So it just would take so long. But to be fair, and even here, they raised the funds to build the net. They worked really, really hard to do so. They're working really hard to make it happen right now. But on the flip side, they won't close the walkway in the meantime. So you've got the iron workers under the bridge building the net, and you've got people still dying by suicide. And so these iron workers are seeing the deaths right next to them, and they're having horrible experiences with PTSD because of it. And 3 of the iron workers have already taken their lives because of it. In the last, about 2 days ago, I'd say in the last 8 days before that, 7 people died off the Golden Gate Bridge, whereas one person usually dies every 7 to 10 days. In a period of 8 days, 7 people died. And so we have to consider closing the walkway of the Golden Gate Bridge until the net is finished. First of all, they'll be able to give them overtime, and they'll finish the net within half the time. Rather than finishing it all the way in 2023, we'll likely get it done in the end of 2021 or the beginning of 2022, or at least mid-2022, if they allow them to close the walkway. But the biggest group that will fight against that is the Bicyclist Coalition, who could not care less about people who die by suicide. They are very difficult. I mean, let me be very clear. When my father, Patrick, who founded the Bridge Rail Foundation, whose sole purpose was to raise the net at the Golden Gate Bridge, when he founded the Bridge Rail Foundation, and he would go to all the hearings initially to raise the net or raise the rail, and he said he's given 3 minutes allotted testimony. There's a buzzer that goes off when your 3 minutes are up, and he says, why don't you guys just put a toll on the walkway had Kevin didn't have any money when he went there to the Golden Gate Bridge to take his life, had there been a toll, he would have never been let on the bridge, and his life I would have never broken my back. He said it would have saved him from jumping. And
I remember you talking about that in your book. Like,
yeah,
you grabbed the candy bar before, like
I did.
Before,
Establishing the Skittles before I went on there. Well, my dad's giving his 3 minutes allotted testimony, and Leah Shasham of the Bicyclist Coalition stands up and says, "Patrick, more people die of sedentary lifestyles than die of suicide." And my dad looked at her, and the news is there, everyone's there, and he says, "Miss Shasham, I like ice cream. Do you know how to roller skate?" And she said, "That's preposterous." He said, "And so are you." And it made the nightly news. But our point here is that there is no coalition that rides the bridge or walks the bridge that's more important than one life. Yeah. That's someone's son, daughter, mother, sister, brother, fiance, loved one, family, or friend. And the fact that it's taken 85 years to get to this point is preposterous. It should have been built a long time ago. The first fight to raise a rail or net at the bridge happened 2 years after the bridge was open in 1989. The bridge was open the bridge was open in 1937. And in 1939, is that right? In 1939, the first fight happened to raise a rail at the Golden Gate Bridge by the bridge patrol officers of that day, and it failed, and the subsequent 8 fights to raise a net or rail failed, and it wasn't until the Bridge Rail Foundation got in collaborative effort with the Bridge District, the people that own and run the bridge, that things started to move forward. And I'll never forget the last meeting we were at where it got approved. June 27, 2014, it was approved. And the holdout was the president of the board, Johnny Moylan. And he was an old union guy, and he was friends with my great uncle in the local union in San Francisco. And Johnny Moylan, the president of the Bridge District, always voted no. He always voted against raising the net or rail until his nephew and grandnephew jumped and died off the Golden Gate Bridge.
Boom. Yeah.
So until it hit him, he didn't change his stance.
Until you get hit by it sometimes. Yeah.
And now, and we're so thankful that he changed his stance. And then one of the greatest allies we've had in this fight has been the general manager, Dennis Mulligan, who was the former engineer of the Golden Gate Bridge. Now he's the general manager. So he runs the board now, and he really fought very hard for us. There was Assemblyman Tom Amiano fought really hard. Assemblyman Janet Riley fought really hard. Assemblywoman Janet Riley, pardon me. And there was several people on our team who were on that bridge board, and they got things to shift and move in the right direction. So we're making this film, The Net. It's our new endeavor. And we want to share the story of the 85 years it took to get this going, and why it took so long. And we want to share both sides. We want to share the side of those who lose loved ones every day to the Golden Gate Bridge, and the side of the Bridge Directorate who made all those decisions to not put up anything for so long, and why they changed their mind. I think that's a fair assessment, and it's going to be a very impactful film. And it's definitely an ode or an honor of the film The Bridge, which Eric Steele did, which my dad and I were a part of. Calling it The Net, it's very clearly similar. And it's we want to complete the story. We want to complete the story and show that 20 years of activism, a small group of like-minded people can do anything they put their minds to if they just put in the hard work.
Right. Yeah. And you know what? You know what's even more amazing? What is going to be the stories of the people who get saved by the net. Yeah. That's gonna be super amazing to listen to and to hear, because I'm sure a lot of people are gonna have that feeling that you had right on the bridge right before, like you said, like milliseconds after you jumped off, you felt like that. I'm sure people who survived with the net are going to have the same feelings. And, That's going to be amazing for the world. That's life changing. Life changing work.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah,
that's the idea.
Yeah. So, I wanted to ask you a question. So, okay, so I see you're asked about, how you deal with suicide and your own process.
Yeah.
Of de-escalation. What would you say? It seems like you talk about breathing and breath work.
Mm-hmm.
How has that helped, and how can that help people who are contemplating, making an action that they don't have to do?
Yeah, so it's not the end all be all. It's not the answer, but certainly breath work, breathing therapy, and meditation can really help someone who's struggling with suicidality. And what I do is when I become suicidal, when I have suicidal thoughts, which I have chronic regular thoughts of suicide, but they'll never end me, they'll never take me, because I'll always fight to be here tomorrow. What I do is when I have those thoughts, I turn to my wife and I say, I need help now. And she says, Kevin, take your resonance breaths. And what I do is I inhale 4 seconds through my nose. I hold for 4 seconds. I release pursed lips like a whistle but no sound for 8 seconds, or 6 to 8 seconds. I do 4, 4, 8. And I do it 30 times. 30 times in the morning, 30 times in the afternoon, 30 times in the evening. I also do it whenever I'm having a panic attack or suicidal ideation. What this does is lower my heart rate, lower my adrenaline, lower blood pressure, lower blood sugar, and quells and qualms of panic attack. It's multi-purposed, and it can help anyone. And so if you center yourself when you're having these thoughts, you can have the ability to reverse those thoughts and think positively once again. The most important key factor is to do those breaths, but to turn to someone who loves you and say you need help now. And then tell them why. And then tell them what you're thinking. And don't worry about them judging you. Just worry about them getting you to safety or helping you be okay. My wife does a great job.
That must be one of the most difficult things, right? Like
it's so hard.
Yeah, to just tell a loved one what you're going through instead of just saying, "Yeah, I'm strong, I'm okay."
Yeah,
I'm handling it.
What do we do when someone says, "Are you okay?" We say, "I'm fine, I'm good, and I'm doing great."
Yeah.
Instead of the truth. Why are we so afraid to tell the truth? Well, maybe it's because when someone asks you if you're okay, you're worried that they really don't want to know the real answer. They just want the cookie cutter answer.
Exactly. Exactly.
So on both sides, we have to grow as a culture, as a society. On both sides, we have to have people that say, are you okay? And then those people have to be willing to wait for the real answer. And when the person over here says, I'm fine, those people have to say, no, I really want to know how you're really doing. You don't seem well. I'm worried about you. Why don't you tell me the truth? So we have to have that balance, really. And I think of, it's interesting. With the world transitioning to being able to see across cultures and different experiences and different cultural norms and realities, I think I'm part Black, part Jamaican, part Portuguese, part a lot of things, and I know from our community there's a fear of talking about mental health in a way that is detrimental to our community. In a way that says, pray it away, it's all in your head, snap out of it, or doesn't accept mental struggle as real. They look at it. We look at it as just something that's all in your head. As a society, as a culture, in Black culture, we need to push that to the wayside. It happens in Latinx cultures as well, in Asian cultures as well. And we need to push that to the wayside and say, no, if you, a loved one, are having a hard time mentally, we need to step up, stand up, and say, it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to be honest about your pain. A pain shared is a pain halved, not a pain shared is a detriment to me. And that's really where we need to shift the focus to.
It took me until college to realize how messed up I was psychologically. It really did, because they offered me free therapy. And as a psych major, I kind of destroyed that stigma that I went into college with regarding therapists and, oh, you have to be crazy or whatever to see a therapist, 50, but that's not the case. No. I went to therapy and I felt better than I ever felt in my entire life. And I went over, everyone knew me at the
yes,
everyone knew
right
me
there.
there.
Yeah.
I would go to therapy like it was a kid in a toy store. It was just like, yes, I don't know who is here for therapy. It doesn't matter. I don't need to see a specific person. I just want to see one person and just talk my guts out, and to me, it's like, I really grew from therapy, and I'm amazed at how much better I felt as a person, as a whole person.
Yeah.
Wanting to walk through this life in a good way and be help to my brothers and sisters, and everyone that I see, and the trauma that we face generationally has such an effect on our day to day. Yeah, it just has to be addressed.
Having a young black man say that he's willing to go to therapy and that he's willing to get the work done and be honest in therapy, tell the truth in therapy, because you can't grow in therapy unless you're honest in therapy, or else you're just wasting your time.
Right.
But how does that young black man or black woman tell the truth about being in therapy when he or she goes home and the family is like, you don't need that, you just need to buck up. And it's very difficult. And a similar thing happens in Latinx community and families, with who are, I'm Catholic, who are in the Catholic faith, and and their families just tell them to pray it away. And it's just like, it's not that simple. The brain is the single most powerful organ you wield. It is mostly on automatic mode. It controls every action and inaction you take, every decision and indecision. If your brain is, lack of a better term, malfunctioning, there goes the rest of you. So we need to come to a place where we as a society, black, white, indigenous, people of color, otherwise, come together and say, we accept that mental health is real. We accept that we need to take care of it. We accept that we need to be there for people in mental pain and not judge them. If we can get to a place where society does not marginalize the mentally ill, we will be able to finally reduce suicides.
I completely agree with you. And part of it, I feel, it's just society. It's not really made for humans, I feel like. It's made for, people to overwork themselves, to not eat right, to not have communication now, even with our phones and stuff like that. And I wanted to read a quote from the WHO, which I believe is suicide rates increased 33% between 1999 and 2019, with a small decline in 2019. Suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States. 33% between 1999 and 2019. I mean, that's a tremendous amount.
It's astonishing, and it's not just astonishing; it's terrifying. And the question remains: what are we going to do about it? How can we solve this? It's a public health crisis. And look at all the teens that are dying by suicide. If you've seen the film The Social Dilemma, there is clearly a complete and total correlation between the rise in social media platforms and their negative effects on young minds that haven't fully developed yet.
Right.
And their their direct connection to suicide. Their direct connection to suicide. That doesn't mean you get off all the platforms. It doesn't mean you throw them away. They can do good things. What it means is that parents of these children need to be more adequately understanding of what the science behind these social media platforms does. So this neuromarketing that's going on right now, the neuromarketing that is basically hacking the brain and helping people choose different paths in their existence,
Right.
by way of, I mean, we're talking about the highest forms of social manipulation by these social media platforms.
They have a lot of people working to figure this out, to figure out like the gambler's mindset, right?
They've neuromapped the brain, and they understand what the brain reacts to and what it doesn't. And it's become a great detriment to those who don't have fully developed brains yet. They're being affected by this, and they don't even know it. They can't even fathom it. And their parents don't know why they're acting the way they do. Their parents don't understand why their behavior has changed. Their parents don't understand why they become suicidal in the first place. And really, we need to. We're not blaming social media. We're saying it is absolutely a causative factor if you let it go unchecked.
Right, and I believe the brain isn't developed until after
25,
25,
26 years of age.
So
we need to make sure our kids are protected from these devices when their minds are still growing.
It's interesting to think how do we deal with that in the current day and age that we're in? That's one thing that I try and tackle, in my startup. I'm trying to figure out different ways on how we can tackle this globally. One of the best things you can do is, as a family, as a unit, is limit screen time. Limit screen time, and say, this time right here is allotted for family time and family bonding and growing time. Then you sit down at the dinner table, you make a home cooked meal, and you're all involved in cooking together, and you say, what's the peak and the pit of your day? Is this a fix it or a feel it? You need me to fix your problem or just listen to understand? What can I do to be here for you in this moment? I mean, I love what you're speaking on. You're speaking on positive, loving, and honest communication and direct communication with your family members. And we all have these devices, and they've gotten to the point where we can see the screen time on our devices. We can, my iPad tells me, hey, your screen time was down or your screen time was up, this past week. And that's an indicator for me, oh my God, how did my screen time get 20% higher? I need to put the device down and work out more and, stuff like that.
We need to remember who and what is really important. And I'm sorry, but it's not Instagram. It's not Facebook. It's not Twitter. It's real life human connection. Real life human connection, whether and you can do it through the screen, like a Zoom call or a Riverside FM call, but you can do it on the social media platforms, but remember that true human connection is what really matters here. And that's one thing COVID almost took away, was this whole aspect of being next to someone you love. And so if we're getting back into some kind of normalcy, we have to be able to find new ways of communicating with our loved ones, and remember to talk to our strong friends, because they could be having the hardest time of all. Remember to talk to your friends that are struggling, that don't show that they're struggling, that seem fine. And when you ask them if they're okay, sit there and wait for the real answer. Be willing.
You gotta demand that real answer.
You have to demand that real answer. No, cut the baloney. Tell me the truth. How are you doing? Because I'm not buying that you're just doing fine in this pandemic or in this struggle that the world's going through right now. What can I do to be here for you? Yeah.
So Kevin, I me and a lot of people know your story, but for those who don't, would you mind talking about, how you grew up in your childhood and whatnot?
Sure, no problem. I had a traumatic infancy. My biological parents, after they had me and my brother, were on drugs and alcohol. We were born in squalor in a crack motel. My life started from truly humble beginnings. My birth parents would leave me and my brother unattended on a box spring for a mattress over a concrete slab floor next to dangerous drug paraphernalia. Had we touched, could have killed us. They would leave us to go do score or sell drugs because they had to keep a roof over our head. They paid that place on the hour by the hour, and they did whatever they had to do to pay on that hour by that hour. And one day, one seedy motel clerk heard our screams and our neglectful cries one too many times. In his mind, he called the police. It was the first best day of our lives. Police come in with Child Protective Services. They swoop us up and they place us into foster care. And we bounced around from home to home. One of the homes, my brother and I got sick with bronchitis and he died, my only full-blooded brother. I immediately developed a severe detachment disorder from reality, pre-verbal, and abandonment issues that follow me until today. But unlike my poor brother, I got very, very lucky. Patrick and Deborah Hines made me their son and gave me a future, gave me possibility, gave me hope, saved my life. Growing up in the Hines home, I thought, what a great life. I have opportunity like so many don't have. I'm so lucky here, but not without hard work. Pat and Debbie worked very hard for what they had. My dad, Pat, he had a very rough childhood. His parents had substance use disorders, primary alcoholism. They would die very young of liver cirrhosis, liver failure, leaving him with about $17 in his pocket to make his way in the world. And he would grow up and want to build a family like he never had. And he was abused. His father beat him every time he came home drunk. That was his life. And so my dad and my mom came together and they adopted us 3 kids from 3 separate families. Me, mixed, my brother black, my sister white. I always say people were confused when they saw us. But we didn't care. We were happy. I mean, women would cross the street to talk to my mom when she was walking with the 3 of us. And they would quite callously and inappropriately say things like, "Excuse me, miss, how did all of that happen?" And my mom would very quickly and aptly reply, "Oh, different fathers." And they would literally run right back across the street with their prejudice. We didn't care. We were happy. There were some restaurants that wouldn't allow us to sit down at night. As a family, we got up, we went somewhere else, we ate something else. And so, that was my life. That was my life. And then I turned 17 and my brain just breaks. Complete mental breakdown.
Well, was this before or after you were like very successful in wrestling?
This was all before, very before. So I started wrestling in high school my freshman year. I wrestled freshman, sophomore, skipped junior, and did senior year. I skipped junior year because I had that complete mental breakdown in junior year. In front of 1,200 people, my brain broke, and I believed all these paranoid delusions about the people out in the crowd, and I feared for my life, and I ran off stage, ran to the lobby, and eventually had to go see my first psychiatrist. By 19 years of age, I was a mess. I was out of control mentally, but I was managing to hide my internal pain from my family and friends and my therapist. I did anything I could to pretend to be okay because I feared their judgment. And I feared that if I told them what I was really thinking, they would lock me up and throw away the key in the white-walled padded room. My only understanding of like a psychiatric ward was from the film Terminator 2, or One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So I thought that's where they're going to put me if I tell them what I'm going through. When in reality, they would have just helped me,
Yeah. Now, like, I want to talk about, leading up to jumping off the bridge. Before that, can you take us through that day that led up to?
You
feel if you needed to die. I remember the quote. I'll never forget the quote.
I didn't want to die. I believed I had no other course of action. And those are 2 categorically different things. Believing you have to do something and wanting to do something. I never wanted to take my life. I believed it was the only course of action because I was in so much pain. And so I always tell people, what do you want to happen when you find yourselves in excruciating physical pain? What do you want that pain to do?
Right.
Stop, go away, or end. That's physical pain. I argue that brain pain is at the very least 300,000 times worse than any physical pain I've ever experienced. And I've experienced physical pain in my life, but it never once came close to the enemy I battle within. And so I went to the Golden Gate Bridge not because I wanted to, but because my mind compelled me to. I was hearing voices in my head, auditory hallucinations from a voice that I don't recognize as anybody I know or love, screaming in my head that I have to die. And that voice would win the day. That voice almost lost me my life. I get to the Golden Gate Bridge parking lot. I'm the last person off the bus, hoping the driver will say, "Hey, kid, are you okay? Brother, is something wrong? Or pal, can I help you?" And I would have told him everything and begged him to save me. Instead, he says, "Come on, kid, get off the bus. I got to go." I'm crying my eyes out. I walk onto the walkway of the Golden Gate Bridge. I pick a particular light rail. I cry my tears to the waters below. A woman approaches me and asks me to take her picture several times. I thought, how can you not see my pain? But she didn't. She walks away.
You're really crying as she asks.
Crying my eyes out. She had giant sunglasses on. I'm guessing the sun was in her eyes. I don't know. Maybe she was trying to show me something beautiful and I missed it. I couldn't see it. She walked away. I said, absolutely no one cares, which is the furthest thing from the truth. Everybody cared. Everybody would have been there for me. Everyone I knew would have been there for me to save me. And I walked back and I ran forward and I catapulted over the rail. But it was the millisecond that my hands left that rail and my legs cleared it that I had an instantaneous regret for my actions and this absolute 100% recognition that I just made the greatest mistake of my life and it was too late. I fell 220 feet, 25 stories, closing in on 95 miles per hour, the speed of terminal velocity. When you fall that height at that speed into water, it's like hitting a solid brick wall. The impact reverberated through my legs into my lower back, and it shattered my T12, L1, and L2 into shards. I missed severing my spinal cord that day by 2 millimeters. I went down 70 feet beneath the water's surface. I opened my eyes, and I was alive, and I was drowning. I swam to the surface. I broke the surface, bobbing up and down in the water, and I prayed, "God, please save me. I don't want to die. God, please save me. I don't want to die. I made a mistake," on repeat, and I believe he heard me.
If you want to tell your story, because you felt the need to have to tell your story, you could still use your upper limbs. You could still use your upper limbs during that time.
Yeah, I was still using all my limbs. I just couldn't feel my legs because of the broken back.
Oh, okay.
And something began to circle beneath me, and I thought it was a shark. I thought, you've got to be kidding me. I didn't die jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge, and a shark is going to eat me.
Right.
It turned out it was no shark. It was, in fact, a sea lion, and the people above looking down believed it to be keeping my body afloat until the Coast Guard boat arrived behind me. That's my miracle. This creature doesn't speak my language, came to my aid and saved my life. Absolutely saved my life. Had the sea lion not been there, I'd be dead.
I mean, these animals under the water, I feel like we don't know much about, but I do feel like they have a lot of intelligence and they can help.
They're very intelligent. Sea lions are very intelligent. They're like dolphins in that respect. Is
that the logo on your brand?
The logo on my shirt is a sea lion. Yeah, we have. If you go to kevinhinestory.com/shop, we have a bunch of sea lion merch. We've effectively named him Herbert, who saved my life. Herbert the sea lion. And
please do that because all the
proceeds
go to.
All the proceeds go to suicide prevention efforts, research, and funding. And the sea lion my wife actually designed. It's really beautiful. She did a great job.
It's really cool.
Yeah, but I'm really excited about where things are moving in the mental health space. I'm excited that more people than ever before are becoming aware of mental health crisis and mental health interests and mental well-being. I just came out with a new book called The Third Rail: In My Mania I Became, by Jesse Cohen and myself. It's the Jesse Cohen story, and this man was he lived in the height of the crime era in Louisiana as a bipolar Tulane law student, and this this story it's a 2-hour read. You'll read it in 2 hours. It's such an impactful journey he was on. Tragically, he lost his life by suicide while we were writing the book. His wife and I finished the book together. His story, but can also still change and save lives, though. It's really powerful. And he became a vigilante in the height of the crime era in New Orleans. He would go out, listen to police scanners, and he would go stop crimes before they happened. And his goal was to save as many people's lives as he could physically. And he went out and did these things. He was trained by a war veteran in Krav Maga, and he went out and he would stop people from hurting other people, and he became like Batman. I mean, it was the stories he writes in this book will blow your mind, and he did it all in a manic state, and that's why it's called The Third Rail in My Mania I Became, because it just goes to show you what can happen when the mind becomes unhinged, not purposely. It wasn't his fault. He wasn't doing drugs. His brain was malfunctioning. He needed help. He wasn't getting it. But his journey was, it's powerful. Getting to know him and becoming a brother to him was really a gift. I'm so sad he's gone. But his book lives on. His legacy lives on in his book. And if you want to learn more about it, just go to thethirdrailbook.com. And that's number 3 RD, by the way. The book will change your life. It's that impactful.
It's really interesting to have someone who would take the law into their own hands like that, and in such a state, and get there before things happen. That's amazing.
It was wild. It was when I learned his story and we put it down to pen to paper, or put it on the computer. It reminded me of some of the. I read comic books my whole life. It reminded me of Batman in a big way. He was just inspired in his mania to go help the guy on the bottom rung of the totem pole. He wanted to help individuals who were hurting. And individuals who were being marginalized, and individuals who were being affected by these terrible criminals. And he really went to bat for them, quite literally.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So
it's been quite a journey for me to get to this point in my life. I want to tell your audience, those of whom may be struggling mentally, something very clearly. Just because you're in a world of pain today doesn't mean you don't get to have that beautiful tomorrow. But you have to be here to get there in the first place. And so you have to fight. You have to fight your pain. You have to share your pain, because a pain shared is a pain halved. Today I have a wife who loves me dearly, and she's my best friend and my rock and my everything. I'm the godfather to 2 godchildren who I love dearly. I had a dog named Max who passed away recently, but he was the best dog in the world. He was like a little person. It was the best. And all of these things. My father became the best man at my wedding. None of that would have happened had I passed away by suicide. Had I died by suicide.
Yeah.
And so even though I still have these thoughts, I'll never die that way.
Yeah. It's like that's the issue with depression. Like it makes that complete block on someone's mind, and they can't see that bigger future, because depression is just so much of a shades on someone's eyes. They can't fathom what kind of beautiful future that they might have.
Yeah.
That's one of our biggest enemies right now in this fight, is just fighting, I think just fighting depression and allowing people to see through that, all these wonderful things that happen to you after not taking your life.
Yeah. I mean, don't fight for your future. Fight for your right now. Fight to be here in the moment. Fight for that next 24 hours. That's why I always say be here tomorrow. Just get to tomorrow. Just get to tomorrow and then move on from there. one day at a time, one step at a time, and they've all got to be baby steps. You know, you've got this. You can do this. Suicide is never the solution to your problem. It is the problem. Life is worth living. Even if you're in a world of pain today, you can get past that pain. Now, I know it's not easy for those of us or those individuals who live in abusive households, abusive lives that they live, you know, where the struggle is real and every day is a hardship. But if you work tirelessly to get out of that situation, you will, and your life will get better. And but not without hard work. That's the other thing people don't get, is that they think that a magic pill or this workout regimen or this food is going to solve my mental problems. No, it's all of the above. You have to build a well-rounded toolkit to stabilize mentally, and then you have to put in the work every day to move forward one day at a time. I still have all the symptoms I've ever lived with, but I know how to manage them. I know how to defeat them one day at a time. And I want to give this to your audience as well, a free resource. If you are struggling mentally and you have tried so many things and they're not working, or you're not working hard for your mental health, consider going to youtube.com/Kevin Hines. Go to the Art of Wellness 2.0 video. It's 10 steps to stabilizing your mental, brain, mind, behavioral health, and physical health and well-being. And they're common sense tools for better brain health. They are science-backed, evidence-informed. Let them help change your life. People as far as Peru, Africa, China, Japan, all across Europe are saying that by following this 10-step regimen, they're seeing a dramatic improvement in their mental health in 6 to 9 months. It's for you. Take it. It's yours. Use it. It's free.
That's amazing. It's amazing that not only are you giving free material to people, but all of your merch goes directly to suicide prevention. So that's amazing. And,
yep. We do that because it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do, and people need help right now, and we want to help as many people as humanly possible. The YouTube channel has 500 plus videos, all designed to save people from suicide, all designed to help people with their mental, behavioral, mind health, all designed to give people hope. You know, there's really not another channel like it. We have. You said it yourself earlier. We have different streams on that channel. We have a podcast called My Brother's Keeper on there about young Black Americans who have triumphed over great adversity. We have a podcast. Right. We have a podcast called Mental Health Marvels, which interviews people of all walks of life and tells their stories. Some celebrities, some YouTube celebrities as well. We have videos called Ask Kevs, where people write in and ask me direct questions about my mental health and about mental health in general, and I answer them to the best of my ability. And those Ask Kevs give people a lot of insight into how to benefit their brain health. And right now, we have until September 3rd, every Friday, mental health hacks will come out. They're 48 seconds to 10 minutes, a hack on your mental health and well-being and how you can be better and do better with your mental health through these little increments of activity and things you can do to stabilize mentally. It's really amazing. We're trying to find the best ways for you to incorporate all of these hacks into your daily life and change your life. It's not one size fits all. It's not one thing saves everybody. It's all of these things combined can help you change your life forever.
And again, all this content can be found on YouTube.
Yeah, youtube.com/Kevin Hines. Just go up there, make sure you subscribe and like it so you get the notification bell so you know when the new videos come out. They come out every Friday. We want you to let them help change your life. And really it's about watching them, devouring them, and then putting them into action. Put them into action. Make them your personal mental health hacks.
Right. Everyone, please like, subscribe, comment on Kevin's videos. Please watch the videos. He's offering amazing free advice and free wellness tips from someone who's been at the door of death and to come back. So please, everyone, take that into consideration and really take heed to Kevin's journey and his story. And he's not trying to steer you wrong. Definitely, you could tell pureness in his heart. So I would encourage everyone to go ahead and check out his YouTube channel and check out his content.
Thank you.
Now, you seem like it seems like you are really into superheroes and comic books.
Look, I'll show you something right here.
I had to mention it.
I was going to wear this today during the podcast, but I forgot. It's my Deadpool hat.
Yeah. So tell us, like, what do comic books do for you? Like, how have comic books helped you? And superheroes.
It's interesting. It's interesting. I relate to Deadpool because he was born in pain, and so was I. Right. So I relate to that character very much. He's been suicidal, so have I been. He's attempted, so have I. The superhero ethos is one of great struggle to great triumph. You can pretty much base every superhero story in that kind of a storyline. There's a great deal of pain that turns into triumph, that turns into doing good work because they feel responsible for those around them. And that's how I feel about suicide prevention, is that it's everyone's responsibility to prevent suicide. And so I realized a couple years back that pain is inevitable. It's coming for all of us, but suffering is optional. It's a choice. Every clinician I've ever seen has told me that I was suffering from something. Kevin, you're suffering from depression, bipolar disorder, mental illness, eating disorder, which I dealt with for a while. And by telling me I was suffering, I then adopted that personal narrative that I'm a sufferer, right? And adopting that personal narrative, I then became the victim of my own story. But when I taught myself that I've been in pain since the day I was born, but I've never suffered a day in my life, and I learned to live with, fight, and battle the diagnosis of bipolar disorder, type 1 with psychotic features, or the eating disorder, or the depression, or the mental illness, I became the hero of my own story. And that's why things like this mean so much to me, because, and you have to give it up to Stan Lee, may he rest in peace, for creating these worlds that were so relatable. Everything he created, even he talks about this in his old videos, everything he created had a dichotomy to it. There was a duality to every superhero. They were in pain, thus they wanted to help others. Or they were the anti-hero, and they even wanted to help others, but they were so conflicted. And so, in looking at those stories, I have a massive comic book collection. I've been collecting for 20 years. And,
that's amazing.
Those books helped me get through some of the hardest times. Because I saw a relatability in them. And I think that's why they're so popular with people around the world. Now we have millions of people who've never read a comic book, but have seen all the comic book films, and even they feel really connected to these stories. So it's a transformative media that creates connection all around the world. It's like nothing else in the world, comic books and comic book stories.
Yeah. Do you feel like, we can all find our comic book, like, what comic books are for you? Can we all, figure out a way to find that one thing that kind of just, brings us down to earth and takes us away from the pain and teaches us things? And
well, it's funny you ask that, because there are comic books that have stories of people who have autism and Asperger's. There are comic books that have people that are superheroes that have bipolar disorder. There are comic books that have people that have thought of suicide. There are comic books of people that have attempted. There are comic books with people with clinical depression. There are comic books with people who are going through eating disorders. So really, when you think about it, they have all the topics covered across the comic book genre, and they've done this almost naturally. They've done this almost naturally based on what human life is really going through. And they have an uber connection to people all around the world. Why do you think Comic Cons prior to COVID were so popular? It wasn't just because people wanted to get dressed up and look like the favorite character. It was because they relate to those characters and they feel connection to them. and they feel
Right.
empowered by them. And so that's that's why I'll never stop collecting comic books.
Yeah.
I'll read book after book and take my time, and that's my me time. That's my I have a man cave filled with comic book memorabilia. I mean, that's just my thing.
That's really cool. That's really cool. I think about Comic-Con. I went to one in San Francisco with my cousin, and it was amazing. You see these people dressed in like full-out swords and like lightsabers, stormtroopers, whatever that person related to. So that's really a great thing. I hope we all can find that thing in our life to really save us from the pain. And help us in some ways.
I do too. I hope we can all recognize our true beauty, our inner struggles are real, that we deserve this life until its natural end, and that suicide is never the answer.
Yeah. And again, could you remind us, the net, is that coming out soon? I'm really excited to hear more.
We're currently both in and out of production based on COVID issues, but it's being made right now. We don't know its release date, but in the meantime, the YouTube channel has videos every Friday at 6 a.m. So
YouTube channel name.
YouTube channel is just youtube.com/Kevin Hines, or just go to YouTube and type in Kevin Hines in the search bar, and you'll find the circle with my face on it. And then if you go to the book, if you go to thethirdRailBook.com, and that's the THE3RDBOOK.com. Pardon me, the thethirdRailBook.com.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So you guys know where to find this content. That's great. Please do so. Again, Kevin has tons of content, and they're all really interesting and transformative talks on life and what we can do to help the situation. And like Kevin said, this isn't a one-man job, one-woman job. We all have to be in this together, so we can be here tomorrow.
It's up to all of us. We all can make a difference.
Yeah. I really like what you said when you said, hey, it's not about the future, it's be here tomorrow. So, I just want to thank you so much for coming on. And, thank you so much for your time. And it was a complete honor again to speak with you, Mr. Hines. And love the work that you do. Keep on, keep it on, because I think the world is changing, and one step at a time, I think we're going to fight this suicide pandemic that we're facing.
Thank you, Will. Thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Kevin. Thank you so much.